If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. Dateline October 1980, Lumpy buys a fish joint. Sometime this winter we might see a scene like this at CB's fish joint in Palm Springs. Wally, golly, Beav, Lumpy's restaurant is really swell. Beaver, yeah, but they don't give you very much food. Wally, that's because Lumpy's in the kitchen. He eats a third of everybody's dinner before it gets to the table. Everyone, ha, 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 ha. Lumpy, poised, wearing an expensive suit and tie, and speaking in a deep, resonant voice. That's very funny, boys, but I'm afraid such action is not consistent with my new character. I'm no longer Lumpy Rutherford from Leave It to Beaver. My name is Frank Bank. I'm a senior vice president for Municorp of California, specialists in tax-exempt municipal bonds and funds. I've opened this restaurant not because I need the income, but because I want to provide the citizens of the Coachella Valley with a good, inexpensive fish restaurant. Eddie Haskell, hey, get a load of fatso. He's found a way to feed his face and make it look like Ty's performing a public service. Beaver, hey, cool it, here comes Mom. June Cleaver walks to the table wearing her best dress, high-heeled shoes and a pearl necklace. Eddie, oh, hello Mrs. Cleaver. I was just commenting on what a lovely restaurant Clarence has built here in Palm Springs. June, well, I certainly hope you weren't giving him a hard time. He's done a wonderful job. Frank Bank, thank you very much, Mrs. Cleaver. But I really don't need you to defend me anymore. The service and quality of food here is a more than adequate defense. And, by the way, you really don't need to wear your best dress and pearl necklace. This is CB's fish joint, not Wally's desert turtle. You can be yourself, Barbara Billingsley here. And you guys, why don't you grow up? You can't go on playing Leave It to Beaver the rest of your life. Sooner or later you've got to get a real job. Lumpy, Frank Bank, has gotten himself a real job. In addition to opening a new branch of Municorp in Rancho Mirage, he and his old high school classmate Michael Calle have opened CB's fish joint next door to Calle's Laugh Stop on Palm Canyon Drive. Ken, Eddie Haskell, Osmond has gotten himself a real job, he's a Los Angeles police officer. But Tony Dow and Jerry Mathers as the Beaver are still playing characters similar to their Leave It to Beaver personages on the dinner theater circuit. Barbara Billingsley temporarily came out of retirement to play a part in Airplane, and Hugh Beaumont is reportedly in Minnesota. Bank said Dow and Mathers may come to CB's fish joint sometime this winter for a reunion. The last time the Beaver cast got together was about 3 months ago, but Bank said he doesn't socialize with any of the old gang. From the way he describes them, they don't sound like they'd be much fun. Jerry Mathers was just like the Beaver, he said, a nice kid. Tony Dow was one of the shyest kids I ever met. The minute we'd finish shooting, he'd go to Catalina with his parents. There used to be a rumor that Ken Osmond was John Holmes, the porno movie star, but he was the squarest guy in the world. Bank, 38, is also the opposite of Lumpy Rutherford. He's still overweight, but he's not the type you'd expect to see with ketchup on his tie. The part one played was a total moron, he said. But people seem to like the big lug. Lumpy and Eddie Haskell t-shirts were very popular at one time, and Bank had many fan clubs. One time, I had 22 fan clubs at Harvard and Yale, he said. And, you know, why me? These were two of the finest institutions in the world, and the character I played was a bullish moron who didn't have an IQ of 5. I guess people are still attracted by opposites. He's grown a beard, but he says people still recognize him as Lumpy. We were on top of the Washington Monument, this was just a couple of years ago, he said, and this little kid says, "Hi Lumpy." Today, the show still has an incredible cult following. Barbara Billingsley got her part in Airplane, Bank said, because the guys who did Airplane are Leave It to Beaver fanatics. Star Trek may be the only show that has a following as big as the Beaver cult. Said Bank, people are still saying, what did Ward do for a living and why was June always dressed up? Leave It to Beaver was the #1 show in the nation and it ran for 7 years, which surprised Bank. By the 5th or 6th year, I was already an adult, he said, and I would look at it and say, "What do people see in this show?" Leave It to Beaver was one of the squarest family shows ever made. It was so straight it was ridiculous. But there were fun times while making the show. It was filmed at Universal Studios, and Bank, Osmond, Dow, and Mathers got to watch movies being made when they were done shooting. "Everyone was nice except Marlon Brando," he said. "He was a real rat. He threw us off his lot. He was doing the ugly American and the four of us were watching the shooting. Brando was the only one who ever said, 'I don't want anyone who's not connected with the movie on the lot.' So we flipped him the fist and we left. All the other greats were nice. The adulation was nice. But it wasn't normal, and we were very normal kids. The greatest comedians in the world came over to entertain us. But it wasn't exciting. You had to be there to understand it." He said the adulation he still receives is nice. But he said he wouldn't want to continue making public appearances in roles like Lumpy Rutherford as Tony Dow and Jerry Mathers have. "That's the sad part about these two guys," he said. "They're in their mid-30s and they're still Wally and the Beaver. They've asked quite a few of us to do that stuff. But I'm retired and I'm going to stay retired.